everyone, welcome to Geekettes Chat. I am Shirley.
Hola gente, I'm Christy.
And we are here to review two Netflix documentaries. The first is going to be Mucho Mucho Amor, the Walter Mercado story. And then the second one is Street Food, Latin America. And yes, so let's let's
just go right into it.
Yes,
Walter
let's
Mercado.
go. Walter Mercado. Mucho Mucho Amor. So start off, I knew Walter Mercado because my mom used to watch, well, she, you know, telenovelas, Univision, Telemundo. You know, she, before the telenovelas would come on, which I would watch with her, and then my sister and my dad as well, Primer Impacto would come on, and then he would have a segment. I don't know what time the segment was, probably like 5:30 or something like that. He would come on to do the astrological, like, forecast, I guess that's what she said.
Forecast, yeah, that works.
And, you know, give the different signs and, you know, the signs of, you know, like Libra, Sagittarius, Capricorn, all that stuff, and Virgo,
like,
all the, you know, the different signs. And he would give, like, what is coming up for you in a sense. And you know, I didn't really believe in that stuff. I still don't, but the way he, you know, he did it, like my mom would be like, everybody would stay quiet and then he'll come on because you wanted to hear your sign. She'd be like, shh.
And then she was like, cállense.
Well, yeah, that actually, I was just being more nicer about the shh. But yeah, she'd be like, cállense, no hables, and right, like she used to do that. And so basically we would, because she wanted to hear her sign, like her sign is Virgo, and she was like, okay, what's coming up for me? And so I'm Libra, I'm after her, so she would be like, shh, guidance it. And then, you know, her sign would come up, and then I would listen too. And of course, again, I didn't believe in it, but the way he did it made it seem he was so positive and so like out there, and so like giving his love, mucho mucho amor, and all that stuff, in the kisses, and it was so positive, and you were enraptured by him and his presence, his clothes, and just that positive energy he was just giving out to everyone, especially in the Latinx community, and you know, but around the world, of course. And you see this documentary how he impacted everyone from around the world, even people today who, you know, sadly he passed away last year, and you know, he lives through like nostalgia and memes and all that stuff of who he was, and his message of love. You know, he still lives on because of that message and being yourself. And you know, so yeah, he was a very kind man, and watching the documentary, he seemed like that. Like he was just like, I just want to give love. I love everybody. You know, he was in love with life and passion. You see that through that documentary. Yeah. So the documentary was so good. Of course, I didn't know he was Puerto Rican. I don't know why I didn't know that. Like, that's so weird. But yeah, he's half Puerto Rican, which is funny because we're half Puerto Rican. Not half Puerto Rican. We're half Puerto Rican. He's Puerto Rican. He was from, he's from San Juan. He was born in 1932 from the very poor family. He was from the countryside. He was very shy and insecure, and I was like, oh, I kind of connected with him in that because I'm very shy and insecure as well, and it's still stuff I battle today as an adult. But it's crazy how like his image is of somebody who's very out there and extrovert, but like in real life he was really shy and insecure. So that's or shy in a sense. But he was saying that he was a dreamer. His mom was an overprotective mom, of course. You know, I have that mom. So I was kind of connecting with him there. And when there was a point where he was talking about how he saw a little bird and he kissed it, and he was trying to bring it back to life and like live bird and all that stuff, and the bird woke up and flew away and stuff because it was hurt, I think. And then somebody saw that, and then in the farm area, his village, I guess, his countryside, these people they heard about it, so they wanted to come to him because they saw him as a healer, and he was just a child. So that's how he I guess the manifestation of who he was going to become later was coming to him, in a sense. You know, he said that when they were talking to him, he was like the Walter of miracles. That's what he called him. That's what they called him and stuff. Yes, he had. I don't know what else you wanted to bring up. I love when he talked about the 1950s and you saw these little videos of Puerto Rico in the 1950s and the explosion of art. And I really loved how they brought that up.
And he, his background, they spoke of his background, which was in theater.
Yeah.
So that's where a lot of his, I think, mannerisms come from. This, he can perform. He moves his body, and I'm sure he studied that in theater. So it's great watching him because, you see him not only speak, and he speaks, like you said, a message of hope and faith to people, but he also performs it, and then his elaborate capes and jewelry also add to that. Which
I wish I could rock that. I wish I had that confidence to rock all of that.
Which makes him so much more entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
And I was asking Mommy, like, what was it that you liked so much about Walter Mercado? And she was like, well, he always was positive. And I think people just really needed that. And so everybody watched him around the time my mom was probably like maybe even in her 30s, maybe like 40s or something like that.
Probably, yeah, because his show, they talked about his first show, because this guy from Telemundo, Alan Ortiz, I think he had a show in Telemundo, and he saw him in a play, because in Puerto Rico when he was in university, like we were talking about, he did plays, and he saw him in a play and was like, oh, can you come on and do a promo for the play? And he had this beautiful outfit and stuff, but he was like, no, let's talk about, Ortiz was like, no, let's talk about astronomia and all that stuff, and then wear that costume and for 15 minutes, and people were watching it, and they were like, oh, let's do this as a show. And then they did it like in 1969. That's August 3rd, they said. That's when the first show in it was shown in Telemundo. It was an hour show, him talking about astronomy and all that stuff and the signs. And I was like, oh wow, from 1969. I didn't know that's when it started. So that was very interesting because, like you said, he was a person who liked to ask people their signs and read their palms and talk about.
And he was popular around the world. Right. And so with that popularity, there was this question of his sexuality, and I don't want to go into it too much because I feel like, unless you do, but I feel like that's something that you should see in the documentary to understand and to see how they explore that this discussion of sexuality.
Right. Yeah. He loved life, and that's why he was a very private person, and so he just talks about how that this is his personality, this is who he is. He said, I think he said that he has, he makes love to everything.
Sex with life.
Yeah, and I was like, that's amazing. And so so it wasn't like something that was just like he wanted out there, it's his business, it's none of your business. And I love that about him. Like he was so confident in who he was and the message he wanted to bring out to people. So it goes into the part that this is the sad part with his manager, his manager later who got him to do the program in Primer Impacto, have that show for the hour show there. His former manager made him do all these psychic hotlines, the 9-100 ones, if you remember them and all that stuff. And and so he also made him sign off this contract that his image, his likeness, everything, his name was going to be signed off to him. And of course, Walter Mercado didn't really read the contract because he trusted this man. He loved this man, in the sense of he was family. And so that was the thing about Walter Mercado, was that he just loved people and trusted them.
That got me pissed because I feel like that was one thing that the documentary could have delved more into, the negative, the real negative impact of what that was. They didn't even question Bill about that,
Yeah, that and they should have questioned him more. That was the thing about the documentary.
Here's this man who's literally taking his whole life away from him,
and he was
his name.
He was a senior man on top of that, and here's this younger dude just taking his shit away.
I know. So, I felt like the documentary could have done more to showcase, how bad that really was. I don't know. Because they didn't even question Bill about it. So, anyways. let's move on.
Yeah, and then it ends with the he wasn't even paying him, so that's why they went into like to the lawsuit. Because he was like, yo, this guy took everything. He saw the contract, went to another lawyer and was like, look, this guy's taking everything. He's not even paying you for the work that you're doing because he stopped paying him and stuff. And yeah, the documentary should have like really went into that, like to that guy, because that guy was like, he literally said, I don't regret nothing. And I'm like, what? That guy was awful. Anyways, that Bill guy, just to tell you.
I wanted to see more celebrities because he was really popular, but there was not a lot of celebrities actually being interviewed. I don't know why I wanted to see some more celebrities, but I felt like if he was in that world of it, because they only showed Eugenio Derbez and Lin-Manuel.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of people who actually like saw him growing. Well, I guess. Well, yeah. Who were like probably his peers in a sense. That would have been more interesting to hear more from his peers. But you heard from some people. But
and his tias too, who he was really close with.
No, those are his nieces.
Nieces.
Yeah, those are his nieces. He has mad nieces. That's like amazing, and how close he was, and how they were gonna miss him when he went. And the last thing also I love the graphics. Like with like the graphics to go each section of his life with the tarot cards and all that stuff, and like the animation. I thought those were really nice in the documentary. The last thing is the opening of the exhibition in Miami about his life, and that was the last thing that he saw before he died, like 3 months after that. Last year, and I was like, wow, it was like he had to last just to see that exhibition, and then it was like he felt content to go. It almost seemed like that.
It does, and that whole experience with the museum exhibition, it was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was really fun and colorful, and it just like the positive energy he was still giving off, even though he was like in pain, and he just fell a week before off his bed. No, he fell off his bed, and then he fell in the bathroom on top of that. But he was still like, he loved people. He loved to perform. He loved life. So he was just like, I'm not missing this exhibition at all. And then he went the next day to see it again. I was like, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, the photo shoots were cool. The pictures in the end of the documentary that they did in Miami,
awesome.
Those were really nice.
Like very professional, and he wore these capes. They were like 15 pounds.
15 pounds. That is
insane. That is insane. But if I can take a cape, I would take the Puerto Rican flag one.
That one's cool.
That one is beautiful.
That one is really nice.
I really want to see his house become a museum, because it's just full of portraits of himself. I'm sure of things where he went to travel, like different artifacts, antiques, and all that. And his jewelry, especially his capes, were amazing.
Capes and his jewelry. So, I was looking at them. I was like,
do you have anything else to say?
No, it's a really good documentary. Check it out. It's on Netflix. I really felt positive after watching it. It was really sweet.
Yeah, it was really sweet. Just grab your pan y café con leche, and you'll enjoy it. Really, I'm telling you.
I really want café con leche right now. So anyways, talking about food, let's transition to street food, Latin America. There's a controversy with this documentary. I love the chefs, I guess the cooks who cook food, the street food and all that stuff. I love their stories. I loved all their stories, and how there were a variety of different mostly, I love the fact that there were mostly women as well, especially older women. Like, these women will get up in the morning, work the whole week from Sunday to Sunday, from like morning to night, and you're just like, damn, I can't even do stuff at home, and I'm like depressed and all that stuff. Like
getting up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to cook, and then they would be home like around 9.
It was just cool to get these little, because each there's 6 episodes, and each episode talks about each, like, the history of the country, and like how they start, and how what their culture is, and then how the culture evolves around with the street food, and how the street food involves keeps on going, the culture, even though things will probably start changing or something like that.
One term that popped up in the show that's called gastronomia.
Yeah, I never heard of that before.
Never heard of that term.
Never heard that term.
It means the art and practice of cooking, but it also means it talks about the relationship between culture and food. And I think that's where this documentary is really a nice treat, because you see those two areas, come together in the show within each show in each country. And then there was the controversy.
Oh, the controversy,
Argentina.
I bring it up. There's like 2 controversies. There are probably more, but I was reading an article. We could put the article down below. Basically, there's the first controversy I saw in the article was there's no like Central American countries. There's like Mexico. But aside from that, there's like none.
Right. When which Mexico is not considered
Central America. It's Central more America. Like North America.
Although it may seem like it is on the map, but it's not.
Because so they mean like probably like Guatemala, Honduras.
Yeah, there's a small part of Mexico that's considered Central America.
Right. So basically,
I just have to say one thing. I was upset when I didn't see Guatemala on there, because they never showcase Guatemala, and Guatemala is so beautiful.
Yeah, they should have showcased more Central American countries.
No, they should have, just in general. But I'm just saying,
general,
if you're doing a next one...
next one, put it in there, Mexico it's more considered like North America, so the second controversy was with Argentina. They were doing the season. This is episode 1, Buenos Aires, Argentina, and the lady who was talking, I totally forgot her name. I don't remember who she is. She's like some food critic or
Silvina.
I think she was a food critic,
and she's a food critic.
Oh, okay, that I remember. Sorry for that. And she literally talked about how like Argentina was similar to Europe, like Europe Junior, I guess, in a sense, and then any other Latin American country. And I was like, okay, that's weird.
No, but I just have to point out that she says, literally uses these words, culture of immigrants. There aren't many native people, but just to give you a context, I've looked it up. There are 35 indigenous groups, totaling 955,000 people in Argentina. Wow. And I got that from an international work group of indigenous affairs. So I'm not sure how accurate those numbers are, but I just wanted to point out there are native people in Argentina. And
there's probably African influences as well. The fact that she was just saying, the Europe influences, the European influences, and the art and culture and architectural music and all that stuff. And I was like, she's literally just taking out the African influence and the indigenous influence out completely. And that was like very offensive. And I was like, what the hell is she talking about? So, and then that's why it was a controversy. People were like, why is she saying these things? And so, I don't know. It was really weird. So a lot of the food that they were talking about there was like, the pizza, because it came from Italy in a sense. That's what they were talking about. And because they have a lot of Italian immigrants that came there. And I don't know, most of the empanadas was this fried beef turnover. I don't know what the pizza the pizza was called. I was messing up the name.
That's fine.
And so they were talking about and how meat was a big thing. Like meat. They put like a lot of meat in it. They had like stuffed tortilla as well. A lot of food.
But so I mean, some of the countries, Argentina, Brazil, Mexico,
Brazil was my favorite episode.
Peru, Colombia, Bolivia, these were the countries that were covered in the show. But Mexico was your favorite episode? Why was it your favorite episode?
Oh, no, Mexico was because of the cooks, the woman who were doing the street food. The cooks. They were amazing because there was one lady and I totally forgot her name, and she was like this woman who was like, I can't work with, oh my god, I forgot her name.
And she can't work with men.
She can't work with anybody.
Because no tiene paciencia.
Yeah, she was like, I think her name was Doña Val. Yeah, that was her name, and she was like, I don't have patience for no one, and she was just gonna.
She works alone.
She basically works alone. She does her thing. She left her man because she was like, look, I'm gonna raise my daughter by myself. I was like, damn, I want to try her food.
Yo, if anything, this show highlights a lot more women who are just totally badass.
Yes, there was
just doing your thing, working their asses
the cook
off.
from Brazil, that was why my favorite episode, the Brazil, was because they talk about the biggest influence was the African influence, and the African culture, and and how it's part of them and part of their food and stuff. I wanted to talk about the chef. I think her name was Doña Susana. Yeah, sorry. She was amazing. She was so sweet, and her Dona Susana Restaurante de Salvador was she was like, she just wanted to cook. She had passion for food, and I wanted more from her. Like, I wanted her to speak more in a sense of like what she went through and her food and her yeah. I don't know. I really loved her. And then the last episode was the
Cholas.
Cholas, yes.
Cholitas.
They were very amazing too. They how they were fighters, and how they were like, look, man, we want to work, and they wanted to be scientists, professors, everything. They wanted to do everything, and they had that right. They should have that right too, and they fighting for that right too.
Yeah, and they're part of the Aymara indigenous women group. In
there were
Bolivia.
A couple, yeah, there were a couple.
But there's a couple, but that's what I found online, and so it's what they wear is colorful skirts with like petticoats, several petticoats under a shawl and a bowler hat. So it's really good. It's not a high hat. It's a small
not a high hat, but they were like,
yeah. So it's really cute. I think that episode was really nice because
beautiful.
It captured the indigenous women and how they have
passion for food,
overcome so much adversity,
passion to survive.
Yeah. So, and then for me also,
just to do anything and just be seen as valuable to their culture and to their people and stuff, and yeah.
So you even see women wrestlers in the show.
That was awesome.
And they're fighting in dresses. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was so cool. I love them.
No,
they were the best. That was a good
episode.
That was good too.
I mean, I think in Colombia, for me too, the Colombian episode, they show La Merqueta, which is a marketplace, Perseveranza, that's what it's called, Perseverance, and there they highlight a bunch of women who own restaurants in that marketplace. Yeah. So that was fun to watch as well. And some of the foods that you hear in the show, like Shirley already mentioned them, but like ceviche, arepas, which is like cornmeal, and you can eat that with however, like if you go to a Colombian restaurant anywhere, you can ask for an arepa. It's cornmeal, and you can ask for cheese and all that. They had so many things that you can find anywhere, really. If you live in a city that has like plethora of different cultures and foods and stuff.
I like how it highlighted the street food.
Yeah,
it wasn't like high end. Well, some of the people who were talking were like chefs from like high end restaurants in the sense of when they were talking about the culture, but the people who were like doing the food and talking about their stories, they were the people cooking the street food, as they say, but it's the amazing food that makes the culture and the people and it's
yeah, that's what I like.
I like that. I can't eat any of that food probably because we have really bad stomachs.
We do, but
we have been to Guatemala a couple of times, and
but
amazing food, but like our stomachs are really bad because we're so used to American food. And like how we process it, put junk in it, and like spray like chemicals, so it's just like it's a hot mess.
Yeah,
I want to eat all that food that they showed, but
I do. One thing I wanted to see more in the show was maybe there isn't that many, but I felt like it would have been nice to see a more diverse group of like critics, food critics, and maybe they're, I'm not sure if they are, but just tap into that.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, that would have been
That's what
cool.
I would have liked to see in the show. But I did love how they highlighted a lot of female street vendor owners and restaurant owners. It was nice.
The food looked all good.
The food looked
It
good,
looked
and let me
amazing.
tell you,
I wanna try
even
it,
if
but-
you don't think you're traveling to Latin America, because I hope to do a Latin American tour soon.
Me
You
too.
know I was taking notes.
my God.
Anyways, I think
Yes.
that you should just watch
I
the
need to go
show
visit.
just to get some, food ideas for when you're like, hey, what if one day I want to try Colombian food? Well, you can try
Mm-hmm.
this and that. So they give you a whole bunch of examples and stuff, which is
It was
nice.
making me hungry every
It
time
was
I was
really
watching
making
each
me
episode.
hungry.
I was
Now
just
I
like,
wanna-
I just wanted to eat something.
I totally want a relleno de carne, like relleno de papa,
Yeah.
but with
Oh, that cinnamon sorbet from the Lima one.
yeah.
Oh my God.
I know they have.
I was like, why is it red? Food coloring, of course.
food coloring. Anyway,
No duh. Yeah, so it was really good. Check it out. Of course, it there's some parts where you're just like, with the controversy and stuff. Yeah, but I think the chefs, the cooks, basically who cook the food, they're amazing. Their stories and that, and just seeing the food and their passion and trying to just survive and just doing their thing.
so
I love that part of it.
check it.
Yeah, so check it out. Thanks for watching. Geekettes. Subscribe, like. If you have any recommendations on Netflix, 'cause
Yeah.
this is what to
And-
watch. We like to review as well. If you want us to review it, so yeah, subscribe, like.
Do you know anyone who likes films, TVs? Share our video with them.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks
Awesome.
for
See you.
watching.
Thank you. Peace out.
Peace.